If you want to get higher quality JointJS code from your AI coding agent, and you certainly do, then you have to start using the JointJS MCP server. Here's what you need to know about it. You're going to find the link in the description below. All information about JointJS MCP Server is available on that page. And in this video, I'll give you a short overview. So why should you use JointJS MCP Server? Well, because it gives you current, up-to-date, live access to documentation, to official JointJS documentation. So your coding agent will get always up-to-date, correct information on JointJS APIs, methods, best practices, and more. Essentially, you'll get higher quality code if you're using JointJS MCP Server with your AI coding agent. JointJS MCP Server is completely free and it's very easy to set it up. Installation guide is available on this page for Claude Desktop, Claude Code CLI, Cursor, VS Code, OpenAI Codex, and other clients. I'm going to show you how easy it is to set it up in Claude Code. The process will be pretty much similar for any other coding agent. I only need to run this command right here within my Claude Code to add JointJS MCP Server, and I'll be able to use it straight up. I will jump into my terminal, and I have two panes open here in the same directory. Essentially, I want to show you the difference before and after using JointJS MCP side by side. So I will enter Claude on the left side. This will be the prompt without JointJS MCP. So let's just verify that we don't already have it installed. I will use /command MCP to see which MCP servers I currently have enabled. And as you can clearly see, there is no JointJS MCP server here, so we're good to go. Let's run a simple prompt. How can I use JointJS Highlighters API? So Claude Code is trying to fetch the Highlighters API docs, and it's trying a number of different URLs because it doesn't know exactly where to find that particular feature, which is of course suboptimal because as you can clearly see, it fetches a number of URLs, and some of those are just returning nothing, 404, because the page doesn't exist. And eventually it will figure out what we want. And here is the overview of the Highlighters API in JointJS. So it took about 1 minute and 14 seconds for Claude Code to figure out what we actually want. Now let's add JointJS MCP Server and see if there's any difference there. I will enter Claude again, and let's just verify that MCP Server JointJS is not installed, and it is not. So I will install it, and to install it, I will just copy the command from right here. I want to add JointJS MCP Server that is available at this address, mcp.jointjs.com/mcp. The JointJS MCP Server has been added to my local Claude Code config, and there are 3 different ways you can use MCP servers in Claude Code, and I'll walk you through them right after this. The one thing to note here is that before you can use JointJS MCP Server, you will need to restart Claude Code. So let's do that. I'll exit it, enter it again. And now if I run /mcp command, I should be able to see JointJS MCP Server that's already connected with 5 available tools. If I hit enter here, I'll be able to see its current status, URL, where the local config is located, and the tools that are available. So I'll just hit enter, and I can see that I have available search docs, get doc, search demos, get demo code, and list doc versions. You don't have to think about this. Claude Code will figure out exactly what it needs as you prompt it with your natural language. But in case you're using API or something, just be aware that you can access those tools available within JointJS MCP Server directly. To learn more about that, jump into the docs, and in the tools section, you'll get the description for all tools that are available in JointJS MCP, along with parameters that you need to use if you try to access them directly, but you don't really have to worry about that. If you're using your AI coding agent with natural language prompts, then just mention that you want to use JointJS with a specific version. 4.2 is the latest version at the time of recording, and then MCP Server will figure out exactly which tool to call to give you the best possible result. Let's jump back into the terminal and let's run the same prompt. How can I use JointJS Highlighters API? Let's see if there's any difference here. The first time you run the newly added MCP Server, JointJS in this example, you will have to give it permission to proceed. I'll just say yes and don't ask me again. And as you can clearly see, this is calling JointJS MCP Server. So Claude Code doesn't have to search for the documentation through the web and stumble upon different 404 pages. It knows exactly what it needs because it has JointJS MCP Server already available. And we got this result in 38 seconds, which is, well, quite a lot faster than our initial version without JointJS MCP, which took more than a minute. And also the result is actually better. You get much nicer overview of this particular feature. If you're working with JointJS and you want to understand how to build a certain feature, you can just ask your AI coding agent, and JointJS MCP Server will search the docs, search the demos that we have available on JointJS.com. There are more than 180 demos, which means that there's a lot of concrete, specific code available for JointJS MCP Server to utilize to give you the best possible suggestions and to give you the best possible high-quality code for the app that you're building. In case you want to remove JointJS MCP Server, just run mcp remove along with the name of the MCP server you want to remove, JointJS in this example, but I do not want to remove it because I will be using it all the time, obviously. Another thing that I want to mention here is that we've installed the MCP server locally, which means in this particular folder. Well, that is the wrong command. I wanted to run pvd. So JointJS MCP server we just installed is only going to be available in this directory. So if you go into another directory, JointJS MCP server will not be available and will not be invoked by Claude. If you want to add JointJS MCP server or any other MCP server to your Claude Code in the user scope, which means that it will be available in all folders whenever you're using Claude Code, then you will run exactly the same command, the one we copied before, with the flag scope user. That way, it will not be installed in the folder that you're currently in, but rather globally. And the third option you have is a JSON config that you can commit into your GitHub repository, which means that it will be available for all your teammates. You will add it to your project, and whoever is using Claude Code will have access to JointJS MCP server without having to actually install it. I'll jump into Visual Studio Code so I can show you what this file looks like. The file name is .mcp.json, and essentially in it you have MCP Servers object, and within that object all your MCP servers that you want to share. In the case of JointJS, you only need a type HTTP and the URL to the JointJS MCP server. If you have more MCP servers that you want to share between your projects, then you can just add more objects, one underneath the other, and all of those MCP servers will be available for anyone who enters Claude. Let me show you exactly what this looks like. I'll save the file, jump back to my console, I will exit Claude, and now as I save the file, it should be available here. There it is, .mcp.json. So now if I enter Claude, the Claude will pick up this JSON file and it will ask me if I want to execute MCP servers that I have listed in this file. JointJS in this example. If you trust that your teammates will add only useful MCP servers like JointJS, then you can just hit the first option, use this and all future MCP servers in this project, and now MCP server that we have listed in the JSON file will be available, connected, and ready to use. So essentially, if you're using AI coding agents with JointJS, you want to be using JointJS MCP server because it will give you direct access to JointJS official documentation, official code repositories, code examples, and demo apps that are built according to best practices. So your coding agent will be able to do a much better job and give you better, high-quality JointJS code. All relevant links and all relevant commands will be listed in the description below, so you can just copy-paste them and start using JointJS MCP server today. You'll be definitely glad that you did so because you will get a much higher quality JointJS code. Thank you so much for watching this. My name is Zoran Yambor. I'm a developer advocate at JointJS, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, happy diagramming.